up on today's wrestling news, Mercedes Moné shoots on the new Vince McMahon documentary.
Chris Benoit and Dynamite Kid's children in a sad online dispute.
William Regal speaks out on his controversial AEW exit.
And Ray Fenix appears to bid farewell to AEW.
I'm Adam Wilborn.
I'm Michael Hamflett.
And this is the news. So it is Vince McMahon documentary day. It is literally just dropped on Netflix, the 6-part series. We're going to be giving an instant reaction to the, at least the first episode. We're going to try and sort of get a vague idea of what's been going on a little bit later on today. But obviously everyone is talking about it. Everyone was refreshing their Netflix feeds this morning or overnight, I suppose, in America. I never know how the time works.
As you're watching this, it is now available.
Yes, and wrestling fans aren't the only ones intrigued by this and talking about this because Mercedes Moné has a lot to say about this. I should point out that yesterday, over the last few days, Vince McMahon released a statement saying a lot has been misrepresented in the documentary and also tried to buy the documentary, according to reports, before it came out when he saw a sneak peek, which tells you all you need to know about what to expect on there. But Mercedes Moné, whilst appearing on WFAN, was asked about the doc, and she said, "I haven't been talking to anybody. I stay in my locker room and I stay in my lane. All I do know is I'm going to grab a blunt, I'm going to get some wine, and I'm going to be watching some Netflix. I can't wait."
What, is she just not wanting to hold a sharp object in case it makes her so angry that she wants to throw it at somebody or attack somebody?
That's not the blunt. Blunt has different meanings.
Is she going to practice LA Knight's finisher on somebody?
No, not blunt force trauma. No, she's talking about smoking the reefer.
Oh, she's a doobie sister.
Indeed.
She's going to enjoy a bit of the Benson and Hendricks.
Yes.
I get that now, right, I understand. No, I think this is Mercedes Moné is kind of awesome for stuff like this because she's in a position where she's super confident and comfortable in herself and her role in pro wrestling, knows her worth, knows her value and all that sort of thing. And especially while, I guess, not working for WWE, feels confident enough to be able to speak up and indeed speak out about this documentary's existence, which appears harder for those within WWE.
Yes.
Because within 3 months, every wrestler and their mothers will be mentioning the word Netflix, 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 Netflix. Mm-hmm. There were Netflix staff at Monday Night Raw on Monday because the whole point was, get hyped, Raw's coming to Netflix, WWE on Netflix, da-da-da. But right now, look over there. Watch SmackDown in USA. Watch NXT on CW. What about the big Netflix mode? Whatever. Because
if Elon Musk accidentally turned likes to be visible again, be very interested to see what wrestlers have been liking.
Indeed, she obviously is one of the first prominent names to reference it and reference obviously that they will be watching and leaning in. The Lenny from The Simpsons thing. There's going to be more. I would fully expect once everyone sort of got through the 6 episodes, you won't just get people that tune in to watch and giving their thoughts on the show. You might even get wrestlers that were part of the stories on new first-hand some of the stuff and maybe referencing it, contradicting it, who knows. It just feels like, as you've said, we're going to try and get some coverage out today. There's going to be more coverage to follow in the days to come. Who knows what this documentary will offer. There's some earlier reviews out that offer very mixed reviews that are certainly worth reading.
I think it's what we're anticipating. I think it's going to be, it has to cover the factual stuff about how he changed this business, but also there's a lot of skeletons in that closet.
Indeed. Some of them are not even skeletons and some of them are not even in the closet. That's the wildest thing.
Yeah. So I just wish there was a 2-day window where WWE superstars weren't on television. Guess then I'm not going to be the only one binging it today then.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of that. Switching gears, but then kind of not really, because obviously, one of the things that featured prominently in the trailer, to the shock of some, was a clip of Chris Benoit's image flashing up on screen amidst a talking head mentioning wrestler deaths, and one assumes that's going to be a part of one of the episodes at the very least. We obviously don't often mention Chris Benoit anymore. That kind of legacy as a wrestler was obviously changed and transformed on the last day of his life, and what does come up every now and then is the actions of his son. David Benoit has made scant appearances, often in crowds at wrestling shows rather than as featuring on wrestling television. He did an interview with Chris Van Vliet, I want to say, but otherwise it's just generally being taken backstage by friends and family members and all that sort of stuff. However, he was sort of in the public eye in the wrestling space, at least on social media, about a month ago, and it was in a sort of awkward dispute with Bronwyn Billington, the daughter of Dynamite Kid. Now, of course, Chris Benoit idolised the Dynamite Kid. Dynamite Kid now has also obviously passed, had sort of very similar style and all that kind of thing. And to sort of give you like the headline and then a bit of a timeline of how we've got to where we've got to, Bronwyn Billington tweeted, sad to say I never got my dad's boots for anyone that was following along with that journey. So if you weren't following along with that journey, basically about a month ago, Bronwyn tweeted along the lines that David Benoit had offered to give her a pair of Dynamite Kids boots, obviously that had been in the possession of Chris Benoit, that he'd then taken down. And said, oh, you know, you're his daughter, you deserve them. Bronwyn noted in the tweet that she didn't have a pair of Dynamite's boots, so it would have meant a lot to her. However, he then changed his mind and said he was going to sell them. He wasn't going to send them on. He's listed them for sale. She said she was like bawling her eyes out at the time. She posted a DM of David Benoit in the comments, changing his mind. This created a bit of a furore on social media where people maybe asked if he could maybe see through the sale in this case and understand the sentiment of it and maybe send the boots on. And then Bronwyn posted what was seemingly kind of happy resolution to all of this. She said, thank you everyone for reaching out to David Benoit. Reaching out. David Benoit and I have come to a resolution in order for me to get my dad's wrestling boots, as obviously they mean the world to me. I posted in a very emotional state, and maybe that just wasn't right of me, but that was how deeply I felt I needed the boots. She then deleted all the Twitter interactions, and it felt as though, you know, like, it was clear heads prevailed and all that sort of stuff. However, this has re-emerged in the last couple of days. Obviously, Bronwyn tweeted that, and then when somebody said, oh, I'd read that Natalia was trying to step in and help see if she could facilitate something, Bronwyn replied, she tried her best, he's gone radio silent, I give up. So
real shame.
It is a sad thing to see playing out. And look, these I think both David and Bronwyn in this case deserve people's respect in terms of like how you react with these people
don't go
online.
piling in.
No, you know, one can only imagine some of the things they've had to go through, as all children of wrestlers from that era do, and of course children of wrestlers with legacies like Chris Benoit's and the Dynamite Kids, all the more so. But yeah, it just does seem like a sad way that this has come to pass.
There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with David Benoit wanting to sell the boots.
No. His memorabilia to do with what he wishes.
But you can't really offer it to someone, especially you know, a family member of the late Dynamite Kid, and then say actually, or not even say that, just suddenly then find out it's on like a sales website.
Yeah, and then naturally now things are going to play out in the public space.
And this is the thing. This is why I don't want people to go piling into David Benoit, because we don't know what situation he's in right now. He might be so hard up for cash that he's had to make a really difficult call and say, you know what, this is the only way right now I can make money. Yeah, we don't know the details of this. It's just a real shame. I think that's the big takeaway from
it'd be nice if we could get back to a resolution somewhere along the line, and just to sort of echo that sentiment. Really, obviously, it's a story in the space as a result of the tweets we've seen, but I think we've got quite a nice audience, and I think they sort of approach this one with a little bit of caution, because if you're seeing things second and third on the timeline, it can quite easily warp things. Not nice though.
Moving on, let's talk about the best wrestling show of the week, of the year, of the decade. NXT, of course. It celebrated its last show on the USA Network. 5 perfect years on there.
You get emotional watching the video package.
Oh, don't get me started. And also, if you want to know our favourite and worst moments of NXT, check out the NXT preview podcast. Me and Hamlet talked all about it. And
like a retrospective, really.
It's a fair, wide-ranging... There's some stuff I'd forgotten about, or at least tried to memory hole at some point.
Been a while, 5 years.
But they were celebrating that, of course, on NXT. It was celebrated on social media, and it was celebrated by William Regal, obviously very close association with NXT. And then this sparked yet another rearing of the whole AEW Regal saga thing, basically. So Regal was tweeting about NXT, and a user replied to William Regal saying, thank you for everything you did for NXT, and also snaking out the competition. To which Regal replied, clarifying his controversial AEW exit. Although it serves some people's agenda, and having a massive people who work in AEW that only back me up, I went to AEW to help because Bryan Daniel asked me to. As he said in my interview with him a while back, I remember he talked about being there from 10 a.m. till 6:15 p.m, ready to train anyone who wanted to come. He said, I never attended a single production meeting, as I knew if I were to stay there, I needed people to realise I was only there to help, nor did I ask a single question about anybody that works there, its contract status. I helped at the ring with what any of the talent needed. I showered, got in a suit by 6:30, then watched the monitor with everyone else. I also didn't call Tony. This is a lot of speculation about this whole thing of potentially Regal manipulating Tony Khan to give him his release.
Yeah.
When his mother was, of course, ill in hospital and sort of saying, I'd like to go back to WWE because my son's there, that sort of thing.
That was at that point as well. Regal was released during the last days of the Vince McMahon era, but Triple H, obviously one of Regal's big supporters, was in. And, yeah.
But he says here, and there's a bit of a discrepancy here, and you can feel free to take it whatever way you have. I'm going to give you the way that I think it's meant to be written, but it's weird date things because England, America, that sort of thing. Right, he said, I also didn't call Tony when his mum was ill. He called me. As soon as he told me where he was, I ended the phone call and we spoke 2 weeks later. FYI, my deal was up in December 28. Now, some people have read that as December 2028. I think he means December the 28th of that year, because that's around the sort of time of year that he left, because of what he says next. My deal was up in December 28. That's when I left, seemingly implying my contract was over. I didn't snake AEW to manipulate my release.
Saw his dates through.
Yes. Yeah. These are all facts I can prove. Anyone trying to twist this has the right to check me out. I'm friendly with 60% of the talent and backstage crew. Feel free to do some real research.
Well, I think it's always worth airing this sort of thing when a wrestler offers that much detail on a situation. Wrestlers are always going to speak their truth and speak it the loudest, as absolutely they should, by the way. And maybe there'll be others to dispute that, or maybe there'll be others to back that up. He seems to be extremely defiant, and I don't mean that in a negative way, defiant in his stance, and obviously suggesting that, others could back that up should they want to do that, and maybe they will. That is such a detailed response to a tweet that maybe that will kind of have other people either back him up and go to bat for him, or push back, and we'll see.
You'd think. I believe what he says here, because why would you say something that's so easily provable to be false?
It's a level of detail, isn't it?
All you need is someone to leak his contract dates or whatever.
That's it. He mentions about I think he's sort of understanding of his place within AEW, and he says 60% of the roster at the time got along with him. I can't think of some of the 40% that might not have done, but certainly he knew that there was some controversy around not just his arrival in AEW, but then his subsequent exit and the other things that were happening in wrestling that maybe the gears moved in a certain way. Do you remember how they played?
He wouldn't have left WWE if Triple H had been in charge.
Do you remember NXT, the NXT Twitter account, or Triple H or whatever, played a War Games a video when he was still in AEW saying, "We miss you, Regal, we missed the War Games thing," and that sort of thing. It was like that in itself felt like what's going on there, and then sure enough a month later, and obviously how he was written out of AEW did nothing for AEW or the wrestlers within his storylines. It was Regal won, that his own exit, which again was strange. So there's all that sort of stuff as
Didn't
well.
help MJF,
it was helpful for nobody other than kind of William Regal and WWE, truthfully. So I think that's another reason why this was out there. There is a bit of speculation, and I do. I say this a lot now because everybody gets really... I think a lot of people for the first time this year have learned about public relations and enjoy thinking that they've been able to put their detective hat on and go, "Legental!" You can really see the buzz on there, I've spotted some WWE PR machine stuff, as if it's the first year it's ever existed, because they've learned Chris Legental's name. But Raw's rating wasn't great, and I saw some speculation that this was an attempt for William Regal today to give such a detailed account of a thing that's been a bit of a mystery for a while was to attempt to try and move the news cycle away from discussion about the Raw rating. So here we are, being balanced and not getting gotten by Legental and saying the Raw rating wasn't particularly good. I haven't read exactly yet, but I understand it wasn't so great. So maybe there's an element of that too. Have we been the balance there? I don't know. Wrestling it, telephone, telegram, tell a wrestler. I'm sure some wrestlers will tell us a bit more once they've read that.
And speaking of wrestlers jumping shows,
leaving AEW and potentially linking it back to NXT, who knows? Ray Fenix. I mean, this is not so much news, but maybe confirmation of news. If you're going to read into this a certain way, he posted online. I'm going to butcher his beautiful language. Bendita de lucha libre, gracias por todo, which translated is blessed wrestling, thanks for everything. And it's a picture of the Lucha Brothers when they were in AEW. That's not to say they're leaving wrestling, obviously, but it does appear like they might be leaving All Elite Wrestling. That the rumours have been out there for ages that they're set to sign with WWE and that they weren't signing new contracts. It could happen now, per
I believe so.
Speculation.
Because there was that thing on it. I think we were talking about this on the Raw review. There was that tease of something. It's probably probably the Viking Raiders.
Yeah.
But people were just like, it's Fenix and Penta.
Well, it just happened to be PRF and Viking symbols, didn't it? So I think that got everybody hyped. Lots of speculation that maybe they were going to be surprise guests on the NXT either in Chicago or more pointedly in the head-to-head one in St. Louis when we had the Tuesday Night War in a fortnight's time. You could certainly make arguments for both, couldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, that show's already going to be stacked with, appearance from Randy Orton and Tony D'Angelo winning the North American title, let's not forget.
Kind of doesn't need anything else. We can probably expect the Deer Man to make a cameo, but other than that, you could very much see them featuring there. That's not to say they won't be part of the main roster, but NXT wants buzz for these first 2 CW episodes.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
There'd be a gift to the WWE tag division on the main roster just as there would be in NXT as well.
NXT tag division is bloody stacked.
Exactly.
As well. Motor City Machine Guns are being linked as well, of course.
Who again feel like they're a surprise debut in waiting, don't they? You've got Raw, as we kind of alluded to, coming to Netflix in January. SmackDown's just arrived on USA. There's Saturday night's main event in December. There's PLEs before then. There are a number of tentpole events coming thick and fast.
Oh, yeah.
That the more debuts or the more bonus surprises you've got lined up, the better. So based on this post, I think it's time to get hyped. If you were still holding back, feels closer than ever to get hyped about the Lucha Brothers making their WWE bow.
Yeah, I haven't been a huge fan of Lucha Brothers the last 5 years, but all of a sudden I seem to be a big fan of theirs. No, look, they've been awesome in AEW. Obviously, they were phenomenal right from the get-go, former tag team champions. A bit unlucky with injuries along the way, of course, but yeah, Penta and Fenix, we were lucky to have Penta in WCPW back in the day. Yeah. Terrifying presence, awesome wrestler. I think they're going to really tear it up, whether they appear on NXT or the main roster. And I just can't wait now.
I feel like this year especially has been the best year yet for the illustration of why AEW's existence is so important.
Yes!
Wrestlers should reach their natural end in a promotion and have somewhere else to go. I'm thinking of, off the top of my head now, if you've got the Lucha Brothers, right, you've also then got the Grizzled Young Vets that have gone the other way.
Yeah.
And you've got Ethan Page that's come to NXT. And that's just 3 examples. Of course, there's more. All of those wrestlers had kind of done everything they were able to do within their existing systems. Jump, make money, immediately feel creatively refreshed and completely mix up the roster again, where other wrestlers can see those as good examples and consider making the jumps themselves. This is a fertile market. It's actually a good time for the wrestlers when it is known that there are 2 billionaires that want stacked rosters. It's the way it should have been a long time ago. It's wrestlers that aren't job scared, that aren't monopoly scared. And like all power to everybody involved. Like I'm with you. I think the Lucha Brothers have had unbelievable highs. Some people would consider probably their cage match with the Bucks as the best match in AEW
right
history.
Up there, yeah.
But have kind of had 5 years, had injuries. They're going to be so fresh when they get to WWE. And who knows when they get to the end of that contract if there isn't one more run or singles runs or God knows what. I think Cody will go back to AEW one. I've always felt that that's in the pipeline. This 5 years in, not just to NXT on USA, but into AEW. This is where we should live. This is where we should stay.
Exciting times ahead. Let us know your thoughts on anything we discussed, though, in the comments section below. Don't forget to check out our Vince McMahon documentary reaction video coming later on today. And in the meantime, why not check out this video right here? We'll see you soon.